In the sweltering heat of a military base mess hall, where the air hung thick with the scent of overcooked eggs and stale coffee, one woman's silence hid a scream that echoed across war-torn deserts. For 18 months, she'd scrubbed pots and ladled out portions like a forgotten shadow, her heart pounding with the weight of 12 graves she couldn't mourn. But when a four-star general's eyes locked onto the faded ink peeking from her sleeve, the fragile veil of her secret life shattered, and what poured out would break you wide open. Stick around, because this isn't just a story of survival. It's the raw ache of loyalty that refuses to die. Picture Joint Base Falcon on a Tuesday morning in July, the kind where the humidity clings to your skin like regret, and the AC unit wheezes its last breath before giving up entirely. At 6 a.m. sharp, the kitchen doors creak open, and out steps Staff Sergeant Maria Santos, or at least that's the name on her faded apron. She's 34, with calloused hands that move like whispers, portioning scrambled eggs onto trays held by soldiers who barely glance her way. They call her Ghost behind her back, not out of malice, but because she fades into the steam rising from the vats, her dark eyes scanning the room not for tips, but for threats that never come. No one knows that 2 years ago, in the blood-soaked sands of Syria, the Pentagon stamped her file with KIA, killed in action, alongside 11 others from her elite Delta Force unit. Maria didn't die that night, though. She clawed her way out of hell, vowing to finish what her brothers and sisters started. And as the line snakes forward that morning, with the clatter of plastic forks and low murmurs of exhaustion filling the air, you can almost feel the tension building in her chest. Like a storm about to break, by 7:30, the hall's buzzing with the usual chaos, boots scuffing linoleum, laughter cutting through the drone of fluorescent lights. When she arrives, 4-star General Patricia Hawthorne, all sharp uniform and unyielding gaze, striding in for an unannounced inspection. Patricia's no stranger to ghosts. She's buried too many in her 4 decades of service, her own wrists scarred from shrapnel in Fallujah. She grabs a tray, slides it forward, and Maria reaches across the counter for the heavy pot of eggs, her sleeve hiking up just an inch. There it is, a small black eagle, talons curled like a promise, etched with Arabic script that whispers, "Falcon's Shadow." General Hawthorne freezes, her coffee mug slipping from numb fingers to shatter on the floor in a spray of dark liquid. The room doesn't notice at first. The crash blends with the din, but Maria does. Their eyes meet, and in that split second, the general sees not a kitchen drone, but a specter from a mission she greenlit herself. Operation Desert Falcon, where 12 operatives vanished into the night, hunting weapons smugglers tied to corrupt U.S. contractors. How could a dead woman be standing here, serving hash browns? And what price has she paid to stay buried alive? The general's voice cuts through the noise like a blade, low and urgent. "Master Sergeant Santos?" Maria doesn't flinch, but her grip tightens on the ladle, knuckles whitening as memories flood back. The acrid bite of gunpowder, the guttural cries of her team echoing in a Syrian alley under a moonless sky. That night, 2 years ago, they'd infiltrated a smuggling ring funneling arms to insurgents, only to uncover a betrayal rotting at home. Pentagon insiders skimming profits, selling out their own for blood money. As they radioed for extraction, the trap snapped shut, bullets ripping through the dark, bodies crumpling one by one. Maria took a round to the shoulder, played dead amid the carnage, her blood mixing with the dust until the attackers moved on. For 3 days, she dragged herself through enemy lines, radio silent to protect the op, her watch, the one she never removes, even elbow-deep in soapy water, ticking like a heartbeat against the silence. She made it to an extraction point, but instead of going home, she chose the shadows, embedding at Falcon Base, where the smugglers' supply lines funneled through innocent contracts. 18 months of invisibility, of swallowing grief with every lukewarm meal she served, all to map the web that stole her family. But now, with the general's stare boring into her, the isolation cracks. Will this moment drag her back into the light, or pull her under for good? Later that evening, as the last trays clatter into the sink and the kitchen staff shuffles out, wiping sweat from brows under the harsh glare of overhead bulbs, Colonel Jack Morrison lingers. He's military intelligence, all wiry frame and skeptical squint. But even he hesitates at the threshold, the steam from the dishwater curling like smoke signals around Maria's ankles. "Elena," he says softly, using her true middle name for the first time in over a year, and something shifts in her. Shoulders squaring, chin lifting, the ghost evaporating to reveal the warrior beneath. She leads him to her quarters, a cramped room off the kitchen that smells of bleach and unspoken sorrow, where the walls pulse with her hidden war. Yellowed photos of her team's last grins pinned beside spreadsheets of bank transfers, scribbled maps tracing ghost routes from Damascus to Dover. "They were my brothers," she whispers, tracing a finger over a faded image of 12 faces, her voice cracking like dry earth under boot. "I heard their last breaths, Jack. Felt the ground shake when the RPG hit. I survived because someone had to carry this." The betrayal burns in her words. The contractors who'd sold them out. The higher-ups who'd buried the report to save face. For 18 months, she'd clocked every suspicious shipment, every late-night whisper in the supply depot, her knife skills flashing in the quiet hours as she sliced through red tape instead of throats. The emotional toll etches lines around her eyes, deeper than any scar. But her resolve, it's forged in the fire of sacrifice, unbreakable. Yet, as Morrison pores over her evidence, piecing together the puzzle that could topple empires, you wonder, after all this lonely vigil, can she ever step out without shattering? Word spreads like wildfire through classified channels by dawn. General Hawthorne pulling strings to assemble a strike team, while Maria briefs them in a windowless room, the air heavy with the tang of fresh coffee and frayed nerves. 48 hours, the general says, her voice thick with a mix of pride and sorrow, clapping a hand on Maria's shoulder. The first human touch she's felt in months that doesn't come from a scalding pot. They move like thunder that night, choppers slicing the sky over the Atlantic, delta shadows dropping into the smuggler's lair in a blur of suppressed fire and whispered codes. Maria leads the breach, her eagle tattoo glinting under tactical lights as she whispers the Arabic passphrase that once doomed her team. Falcon rises, and the door gives way. Bullets fly, but this time justice arcs through the chaos. The ringleaders, faceless suits with American accents, drop, their ledgers spilling secrets that will echo through congressional hearings. Back at base, as the sun crests the horizon, painting the mess hall in golden hues, Maria stands amid the wreckage of her double life, chest heaving not from exertion, but release. The kitchen crew, those same souls who joked about the ghost over lukewarm soup, now cluster at the edges, eyes wide with awe as they realize the quiet woman who'd shared their shifts bore scars heavier than any pot's weight. Weeks later, the mess hall transforms, not into a battlefield, but a sanctuary of polished wood and folded flags, the air scented with polished brass and fresh wreaths. Soldiers in dress blues line the walls, the clatter of trays replaced by the solemn hush of a nation pausing to remember. General Hawthorne pins the medals herself, one for each of the 12, their names etched in gold that catches the light like tears held back. Maria accepts them not with fanfare, but a nod, her voice steady as she toasts her fallen. They didn't die for glory. They died for us to keep fighting. The room erupts in applause, raw and ragged, the kitchen staff surging forward to envelop her in hugs that smell of home, grease, and gratitude. She chooses to stay, not as a shadow, but as an intelligence liaison. Her quarters now a hub of light instead of secrets, where laughter mingles with strategy sessions. In the quiet moments, she'll roll up her sleeve, trace that eagle, and feel the ghost's smile. Not haunting, but guiding. It's a bittersweet dawn, where loss carves space for healing, reminding us that true heroes don't seek the spotlight. They light the way for the rest of us. And if that doesn't stir something deep in your soul, wait till you hear how one final letter from her team changes everything forever.